Welcome. Today we're talking with Stephanie Coleman. She is a partner principal in the Workforce Advisory Financial Services practice at EY. Steph, welcome and thank you for joining us at today's Banker Digest.
Thanks, Larry. It's so great to be here. I'm really excited to participate in the interview.
Great. Okay, well, let's get started. So, Steph, we continue to hear about high employment and millions of open jobs. Do you expect this level to be to change, or is this the new normal?
Larry, I think it's a great point that you're raising. As you rightly point out, it has been an employees market for quite some time, and that is possibly going to change as we face into the threat of a recession in the months ahead of us. I think what that does mean is some of the talent liquidity that we have seen across the market may start to slow down a little bit, but it will not stop completely. There are certain job families, in particular in technology, data, analytics, risk and control, and in some emerging capabilities like ESG, where demand is still going to continue to grow, and we're going to see for highly skilled people, there are going to be plenty of opportunities, and I think we're going to still see some switching of roles across the sector for months to come.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Steph. So given those workforce expectations, what are you advising your clients on workforce management?
In my opinion, skills are the backbone of any bank. And this is one of the things that a number of my banking clients have reached a similar conclusion around. A lot of banks now are really focusing on the skills that are required on an enterprise level to deliver on their remit today and also into their remit into the future. And they're starting to feed a lot of the skills infrastructure into the broad portfolio of talent programs. So that could be workforce planning, into hiring, into learning and development, performance management, compensation, you name it. So I'm now starting to see more and more the definition of skills as the DNA of a company's kind of talent. And it is really featuring as a centerpiece in workforce strategy. Beyond that, there's been a lot of focus now on not just designing the skills that are required today and tomorrow, but understanding the supply of those skills in the workforce today through talent assessments and other evaluation mechanisms, and then designing interventions that can go and fill those skills, be it strategic hiring, be it surge staffing from third parties, be it upskilling internally, mobility and other levers.
Great. Well, thank you, Steph. So we continue to hear about workforce challenges impacting the enterprises, the company's ability to provide products and services, as well as fill those key roles that are critical to them. Are workforce issues now rising to the level of enterprise or business-wide risk?
Well, I would say, Larry, that this is still a nascent topic. The concept of workforce risk and where it sits within the construct of the operational risk taxonomy, but it is certainly growing in popularity. In fact, back in April, we conducted a webcast where we had around 1,800 participants across the banking sector representing risk and HR, and 70% of participants in that session had identified kind of a growing relationship between the CHRO of the bank and the CRO in the bank on kind of solving for workforce risk. So we're definitely seeing a much larger conversation around workforce risk emerge. The way that is manifesting in the kinds of workforce analytics that are being monitored for risk management purposes and being escalated to the board. Historically, these have been kind of attrition and basic health and safety risks. We're now seeing diversity, equity, inclusion, culture, productivity, engagement as a sort of aspirational set of skills that are likely to be escalated and reported upon for risk management purposes as well. Great.
Thank you. Really great insight. So with the current economic conditions, and you mentioned the possibility of a recession in the near future, how do you see the workforce issues evolving over the next 18 to 24 months?
Well, I think what's been really interesting, if we look back for a second in order to look forward, the nature of the pandemic is inherently a human one. And so, there are not many silver linings of the pandemic, but if there are any, one of those is the fact that very human-centric workforce practices have started to emerge. we may start to see as we, as the balance of power shifts a little bit away from the employees and more into the favor of the employer, a little less focus on some of those things. But my caution to a lot of my clients is don't let that swing too far out of balance here, because good people will always have options. There's going to be plenty of opportunity for skilled talent, particularly in some of those job families I referenced earlier, technology, data, cyber, and others. And people remember how they're treated in good times and bad times. And given that the employment market is cyclical, those that really stand by their employees and continue to invest in those very people-centric programs stand to perform best in the long term by retaining critical talent.
Great. Well, thank you, Steph. You've shared with us great insights to better understand the unique workforce challenges facing not only financial services businesses, but nearly all industries today. So thank you.
It's my pleasure, Larry. Great to talk to you.
Great. All right. Well, in closing, thank you for joining today's Banker Digest. If you have additional questions for Steph, please see the link in her bio.